Hi guys, welcome back to Crime Tales. And if you have watched our first show, you know that we make cocktails while telling true crime stories. And today we have a case out of Anderson, South Carolina. It is the case of Chandrakan CJ Patel. We're just gonna call him Patel throughout the case, or CJ. So without further ado, let's get started. CJ Patel was 53 years old. He came over to the States for a better life for him and his family, of course. And he managed with him and his family a gas station called Exxon in Anderson on Clemson Boulevard. He worked there with his family, and he was known to just be a really nice guy, very, with a really big heart and willing to give to anyone. So on July 1st, 2012, around 6 p.m., Patel told one of the clerks that worked with him at the store that he'll be gone for a couple of hours, he'll be right back, you know, just hold down the fort like you normally do, and I'll be right back. So after a few hours, Patel never came back, and his family and the clerk in the store, they were really worried because it was so unlikely of him. You know, he was a man that stood on business, so it wasn't likely of him to not be back to close the store. And, you know, so that was very suspicious to them, you know, off the jump, you know, so this is not right. So a couple days goes by, several hours goes by, and a couple days, they still has not heard from their father and friend. And you know, Patel, where is he? This is not like him. They're looking for him. So the media outlets, you know, local news started putting out pictures of Patel. You know, his family was posting signs, and posting signs and all around, you know, the city, just to see have anyone seen or heard from Patel. Well, on Tuesday, July 3rd, so a couple days later, his car, his black Honda, was found in Fairplay, South Carolina. It was found in like some bushes, kind of hidden away, or trying to be hidden away, and that right there also deemed very suspicious. Like, okay, so there's no Patel, we have his car, and he's not there. So, you know, the investigators are on it. They are looking. I don't know exactly how this part came into play. I tried to find more detail on it, but I'll just tell you, you know, how the story is told. Surveillance from a house in Homeland Park, Jerry Drive, Homeland Park, which is like a little section of Anderson. They told the authorities that they saw footage of Patel going inside of a home and never coming back out. 10 days later, on July 11th, 2012, they found Patel's body. And it was very bad. It was facing decomposition. He had been beaten, tortured, and shot in the head with a 9mm. So the investigators are really on it, and they are really trying to find out what's going on. The surveillance that they found led to Kyndra Howell. So this is where the story of Patel's murder begins. It started out with Kyndra Howell, and so we're just gonna get into it. We you know, you got what happened to him, the tragic death. So let's get into the story. Kyndra Howell is a 22-year-old female out of Anderson, South Carolina. I think she maybe has one child, but the sources on that was Facebook, and you know how the Facebook sources are. They are hit or miss, so do not quote me on that one. Kyndra was the mastermind behind Patel's kidnapping and robbery. She contacted Patel on July 1st, as she'd done several times before, and she wanted to exchange money sex for money. She said that she was in a bind, but she didn't call Nate. She was in a bind. She needed to pay her rent. She was facing eviction. And she called Patel to, handle it, like I said, like he's done numerous times before. So this time went a little different. He went to Jerry Drive to her house, and you can see here, that's Jerry, that's the house, and that's the surveillance where they saw him going in and coming out. And while there, she ran into Jeremiah Johsnon and Zachary Gant. Jeremiah Johsnon is 29. He was 29 years old at the time, and Zachary Gant was only 17 years old at the time. She ran into them, and she said, I have this guy in my house right now. He has money, and she, or us all, we need to rob him. It's looking like a lick. So by this time, they're with it. I don't think she had to do too much convincing for these guys, y'all. I don't think she twisted their arm. So after she told them about it and they were with it, Johsnon admitted to going in and tying Patel up with a cord or some sort coming from him. That's what he stated. It was a cord or some sort that he tied and bond Patel. And he took his car. Him and a local drug addict, in reports, took Patel's car to Fairplay, dropped it off in bushes, and Zachary Gant followed them and, picked them up on the way back. They paid the local drug addict in crack cocaine to clean the mud off of Patel's car. Once they were back in Anderson, that's where Ezra Williams, who at the time was 21 years old, I'm not sure at what part of the time that Ezra came into the mix, but he eventually came later on, and that's where Johsnon stated that things took a turn for the worse. He said he bonded Patel, but he was just trying to do a couple of tactics, to try to get, hit on him a little bit, to try to get the debit card PIN number from him or the credit card number from him, but none of that worked. So that's when Ezra took it into his own hands to get a little bit more aggressive in just getting more evil with the antics. So that's when they start torturing Mr. Patel. They heated knives up on the stove and would put it on his skin to burn him. Patel never gave up that PIN code. He never gave it up. They also sprayed bug spray in his eyes, Johsnon stated, and Gant also stated that, and it never worked. Patel ended up giving them a 4-digit PIN. Johsnon admitted that he went and admitted going to Spinks to try to see if the PIN worked, but it didn't work. So I think they did that a couple of times before they realized like he's not gonna, that PIN is not working. So the last attempt was when they transported Patel 11 miles south of 29 and by Big Water Marina in Anderson, South Carolina, and that's where they had him in the woods. They put him out there. He was still tied up out there in the woods. He was half clothed, and they asked him one more time for the PIN. They didn't get the PIN, and that's where Johsnon and Gant stated that Williams, Ezra, shot him in the head, and they left. And they left his body there for his family to search for and look for days until that happened. So, Kyndra Howell, Jeremiah Johsnon, Zachary Gant were all arrested for the kidnapping and armed robbery of Patel. And then later on, Ezra was found and charged as well. They couldn't get too much out of Kyndra. Kyndra was down for the count. She admitted to everything. She confessed to what she did. She said she set Patel up to rob him, and that's a story. Kyndra did not really say who did what, and supposedly Kyndra held it down, but the only thing I see Kyndra holding down is a sale. And the only thing I see Kyndra doing, you know, getting her rent paid. Right now, we're paying Kendra's rent. We're paying Kendra's rent, so she never got her rent paid. And at the end of this, guys, guess how much Kyndra Howell, Jeremiah Johsnon, Zachary Gant, and Ezra Williams got from Patel? A full $70, guys. And Kyndra Howell and Jeremiah Johsnon split that, and Kyndra didn't get the 40. She got the 30. So that just goes to show where Kyndra lies, and where her heart lies, and what type of person she is, and what type of person all of them are really. So Kyndra was charged with possession of a firearm, armed robbery, and kidnapping, and the judge sentenced her to 50 years. Kyndra, we will be paying your rent for 50 years, baby. You'll never have to worry about the eviction. Jeremiah Johsnon, 29 years old. He was charged with firearm possession, murder, kidnapping, and armed robbery. He was sentenced to 40 years. Johsnon was not charged with the murder of Patel. Yeah, he was charged with murder, but he was found not to be the shooter. They proved, or they believed, that he wasn't the shooter, although he was still charged with murder. Zachary Gant, 17 years old. He was sentenced to 22 years for kidnapping, voluntary manslaughter, and 5 years for the firearms possession. Ezra Williams was sentenced to 60 years for armed robbery, kidnapping, and firearm possession, but I did not see a murder charge on Ezra Williams' file. I looked them up at SCDC. I did not see a murder charge. If anyone can tell me about the court system and tell me why maybe that he did not get charged with the murder, even though he was the shooter. I don't know if it's because he came later, or I can't figure that part out. I do know right now that I looked up Ezra as of March 2nd. He's in Anderson County, awaiting some kind of court, something I saw, on the SCDC website. So while we're shooting this, he may very well be not too far from us, which is a little weird. But yeah, so that's the case of Patel. His family, they got a little bit of closure. They found out what happened to their dad. And husband. Like I say, he was a really nice guy. It's unfortunate that this happened to him. And this case took place in 2012, where it was so much going on in 2012 at Anderson at the time that I'm not sure why it didn't get the coverage. But I just think that I'm just happy I'm here to cover it and give you guys some kind of story behind it. But yeah, that's the story of Patel and Kyndra, Jeremiah Johsnon, Zachary Gant, and Ezra Williams. I have an Indian friend who loves to drink. Every time I ask him what he drinks, he said he drinks coconut water and coconut rum. And he said, he can just have it and no one knows or whatever. I was like, that is such a great idea. What an awesome refresher. So today we made a coconut rum and coconut water. So just a little splash of pineapple for color with a little bit of agave around the rim and a little coconut. And let's see. This is my first time tasting this, by the way. He always says he drinks it. Oh my God. So refreshing and so really good. I can see us on the beach. You guys, cheers. See you next time. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to our channel.